Hey toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're once again looking at those Marvel Legends Infinite series figures released by Hasbro. Before you, we've got the Thor figure, part of the Odin the Allfather Build-A-Figure wave, released in early 2015. Now I'm sure all of you watching are already familiar with Thor and what he's about, but here's something you may not have known. He first appeared in Journey into Mystery number 83 back in 1962, and he was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Also appearing in this first issue were the rock-like alien race known as the Kronins, who had a cameo at the beginning of the movie Thor the Dark World. And after a long, successful run in Journey into Mystery, Thor eventually got his own proper title, The Mighty Thor, in 1966 with issue number 126, which actually continued the numbering of Journey into Mystery up to that point. So Thor never actually had an official Thor number 1 comic book back in the day. Now in the packaging, this Thor figure looks absolutely massive, and I can't wait to get him out and see what he's all about, but let's get things started by taking a look at the packaging for this figure. As you come down the front of this box, you do have that Odin Allfather Build-A-Figure emblem in the upper left and the Marvel Avengers logo there towards the center. You've got a window box packaging that does house this Thor figure inside, as well as his accessories and Build-A-Figure piece. Towards the bottom, we've got the Marvel Legends Infinite Series logo, and finally the figure's name there at the bottom, Thor, with the Avengers official movie license logo there off to the right. And as we flip this package around, you've got the Marvel Legends and the Avengers logo there at the top. You do have a bio for this character. Go ahead and pause now to read that. You've got the Build-A-Figure Allfather emblem one more time on the back of the packaging, and then you have a complete lineup of all the figures available in this wave, as well as what their Build-A-Figure pieces combined to create. We have Odin the Allfather there off to the left, and even an inset showing King Thor. There are alternate Build-A-Figure pieces with this wave. Alright guys, well that's the packaging. Let's say we get the Odin son out of the box and see what he's all about. Alright toy fans, so here we have Thor out of the packaging, and you can see here, the costume and the look that they've given this figure is definitely the Marvel Now version of Thor, which first appeared a couple years ago in comics, and I know him best myself from Uncanny Avengers. Now this figure is not wholly original. A lot of the pieces in this figure are actually reused from the 2012 Marvel Legends Thor figure that we received. And this Thor is the appearance that he had when he first came back from the dead, after the most recent Ragnarok event in the comics, when Oklahoma was now the home of Asgard. And you can see here that these Thors do reuse a lot of pieces, the feet, the legs, the torsos, even the face sculpts. But outside of the reused pieces, this Thor does have original arm sculpts, but then this helmet is actually much different from what we got on the 2012 Thor figure. And I actually like the new helmet much better. But looking at the paint detail, I do feel like the 2012 version of Thor is the definite winner. We've got this black wash going on the chainmail. The chainmail itself has sort of a metallic blue hue to it. And the colors overall just seem a lot flatter on this Thor figure. We even have some paint detail on the belt here, which I think is really nice. And we're not getting that on the 2015 figure. Let's go ahead and look at the detail up close on this Marvel Now Thor figure. I'm really a big fan of the sculpting detail on the helmet. I really think this is my favorite part of the figure overall. All the metal work on the helmet looks really nice with the lines and the rivets. The wings look really nice. The hair itself is sculpted nicely. It's a little bit darker than what we got on the 2012 Thor figure, but the painting is a bit off. They didn't actually paint the eyebrows all the way over on either side of the head sculpt. You can look in there, it's kind of hard to see, but there's almost like Vulcan-like painting style to the eyes. It's just these slanted sort of lines for the paint on the eyebrows. And that leaves Thor looking like he has some pretty bad widow's peaks around the corners of his eyes, and I'm not a big fan of that. Also, the skin tone's a bit lighter than what we got on the 2012 Thor, so I also think that's kind of a failing. But coming down the figure here, we have some nice silver paint on the buckles on the shoulders, blue piping here on the front of the uniform. The belt has been painted and the buckle's been painted, which is nice. We got paint on the buckle here, paint on the sort of loop for the hammer. Coming down the figure here, we have a flat silver going down half each side of the chainmailed legs. And then we have paint on the boots themselves and silver paints here around the back. Flipping the figure around here, we do have a nice sort of wash. It's very light, but there is a wash on the costume here, or the cape here, to kind of show the definition, and the wrinkles a lot nicer. And then we have a brown paint on this sort of flap on the back of the figure's head, which it's worth noting kind of inhibits the articulation quite a bit. This Thor can only look left and right. But really, while I think that the 2012 figure is good, I don't think the 2015 figure is bad. I just feel like it could be better. Also, I want to mention the glove detail on this Thor figure. I like that the wrist has been painted and sculpted, but the hands just have that black flat paint pretending to be a glove, and I wish they would have done that differently. Moving on to accessories, we can see that Thor does come with the right Build-A-Figure leg for the Odin the Allfather Build-A-Figure, and we'll look at that more in detail when I finish that Build-A-Figure. He also has this sword accessory, which I do believe is for Odin, not for Thor, but it is actually sized well enough to fit in Thor's hand. You can just slide it in the hand here. It's not too difficult, and the fingers just kind of bend out of the way, and you know, it doesn't really look that terrible in Thor's hand. So if you want to pose him with it, have at it. Finally, we have Mjolnir. Now this is the exact same sculpt that we got with that 2012 Thor figure, and I have to point out that there's a nice black wash on the 2012 Thor Mjolnir, and I think it just brings out all the detail wonderfully. On the Marvel Now Thor figure, they didn't really emphasize the detail on the hammer. You can still see it there, but it's just not as clear. I do prefer the way that they painted it originally, but this hammer fits very nicely into either of Thor's hands, but we'll go ahead and put it in his right hand. He holds the hammer just fine with a nice tight grip. Articulation is probably one of the weaker points of this Thor figure. As you take a look at the head sculpt, you can see here that he does rotate left and right, as I mentioned previously, but because of that flap on the back, he's not able to look up at all, and he can't really look down at all either. His head rocks a little bit front and back, but it's not going to hold in any position. He's got a ball-jointed shoulder, so his arm will rotate forward. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a single-jointed elbow that bends forward that far and back that far and rotates all the way around. He's got a wrist joint that'll bend down that far, back that far, and rotate all the way around. He's got a diaphragm joint. Let me get that arm reset. He's got a diaphragm joint that does rotate left and right, and it does move back very nicely and move forward pretty nicely. He's got a ball jointed hip that'll rotate left and right, a double jointed knee that's a bit stiff, and then he has an ankle joint that'll bend forward and back. But Thor does not have that great Hasbro ankle pivot. Now I know they've reused the mold from the 2012 figure here, but it's been 3 years and Hasbro's made a lot of changes in the way they produce figures. I wish I would have taken the time to go back and correct that joint for this figure, since they were already saving costs by reusing so many pieces anyway. Height-wise, we can see that this Thor figure does stand nearly 8 inches tall if we go to the wingtips on that helmet. For some size comparison, here he is once again compared to that 2012 Marvel Legends Thor figure. Hello. Hello. Here he is compared to the first Thor figure that Hasbro ever gave us. We have the Asgardian Armor Thor from 2006. Forsooth, what is all that junk on your uniform? I went through a phase in the 90s, thine self. Art thou not grateful thine self isn't covered in plaid and tank tops? I say thee nay. Here he is compared to some of the other figures currently available in this wave. We've got the Scarlet Witch, Sentry, and Hawkeye. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. You know something, Bob? Huh? I finally remembered my lunch today. I seem to be a slice short. Would you be willing to share? Over my dead body. I'm hungry. Challenge accepted. Boosh! Let the battle be drawn. Huh? What's this? They seem to have forgotten the Wildschneip sausage. Here you go, comrade. Perhaps next time you'll have a worthy slice. Sorry to disappoint you. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Now Thor figure, part of the Allfather Build-A-Figure wave released by Hasbro in 2015. Overall, while I did have some nitpicks about this Thor figure, it is a pretty decent figure, and he's massive. He's almost Build-A-Figure size. And if you didn't pick up that Thor in 2012 and you don't already have a Thor in your collection, you probably want to go ahead and pick this guy up. He is a quintessential member of your Avengers lineup. There is some nice sculpting detail on here. As I said, I love that helmet. And I do feel like the reused pieces from that 2012 Thor were used mostly effectively on this figure. But if you already do have that 2012 Thor figure, you may want to go ahead and give this guy a pass. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And a special thanks to my mother-in-law, Phyllis, for picking this figure up for me for my birthday. If you guys like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have at thee! Seriously, thine viewer, watch the movie Independence Day. You could make a drinking game out of that outfit.